This is Radio Free Pro Wrestling, your home for smart and stunning wrestling debates with lifelong wrestling fans Shawn and Ashlee. Let the debate begin.
Good Saturday to you all. Yes, it's Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Of course, I'm Shawn with my tag team partner, Ashlee. And before we start this episode, we do want to dedicate this episode of the show to one, Mr. Kevin Sullivan, as he passed away, unfortunately, yesterday at the ripe age of 74. Ashlee, I remember Kevin Sullivan as I was growing up, his time at WCW as a Taskmaster. I was just a little bit too young to remember him in the Varsity Club, but I have seen some of those matches they had as the faction. That was Rich Steiner, Mike Rotunda, and himself, Kevin Sullivan. This guy was a freaking legend.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the wrestling world loses another one, and seemingly very quickly, because I remember only hearing maybe just a few weeks ago that he was like ill and in the hospital. So terrible news for everybody.
Yes, he had some medical event that happened at a wrestling signing event back on May 12th, and he had emergency surgery, I do believe, in June. And unfortunately, he had a complications to that surgery. And because the death has not been released yet, we don't want to speculate. We do want to offer our sincere condolences to the family of Kevin Sullivan, his friends, and the fans of Mr. Sullivan.
Of course, absolutely.
And there's no easy way to transition. We're going into our first segment. As we were looking back at the end of SmackDown, Solo Sikoa got what he wished for. He wanted Roman Reigns. Unfortunately for Solo, he's not able to handle what he wants right now.
Yeah, especially Roman Reigns with a chair.
You know what's worse than this Roman Reigns? Give Roman Reigns a weapon. And, oh, by the way, send your henchmen one at a time at Roman. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
Right. It's like the old Power Rangers move, you know?
You know, unfortunately for the guys who used to be the Guerrillas of Destiny, they are basically, like you said, the putties of the Power Rangers right now, because Roman's like Megazord mode and he's just going for him like nothing.
I think that might be kind of the role right now, especially for the way Roman is coming back as the big triumphant babyface right now. It'll be kind of interesting as we factor into one of your questions later on.
Very true. It's interesting. Roman Reigns has not said word one since his return, and he's the hottest babyface in the company right now.
It's very cool to see after I feel like the very long struggle of WWE trying to get Roman over as the big babyface.
I know. We were talking about on Monday on our pre-show to Monday Night Raw. We were talking about, hey, they've been trying to get this spot for the last 4 to 5 years. And finally, with all the work they've done to make him the major heel, you give him like a 4-month break and he comes back, and now he's right where they want him to be for us, to be like, this is our babyface that we want to give to the crowd.
He's already shown what he's capable of, so it'll be very exciting to see him kind of play the other side, or at least kind of slowly get more into a babyface, because right now he's just angry. Like, he's an angry babyface, so we'll see that side of him, but to see him kind of embrace like a more like traditional, I guess, babyface role will be interesting.
You know, actually, you're right. It's going to be interesting to see how much of a change in the character he has here, because I get a feeling that he doesn't really need to change much in what he was doing beforehand in this new babyface run, because I think the crowd is behind this tribal chief that they know. They were chanting OTC. As much as we were making fun of it on Monday night, they were chanting OTC by the end of the show.
Roman's got a way of getting the, like, pretty much anything he touches over at this point.
It's going to be interesting to see what follows up in the weeks on SmackDown. I was happy they did not put Roman into the title match with Cody Rhodes for Bastion of Berlin. We'll talk about that in the 76 questions. We'll figure out where we're going with one Cody Rhodes. But for right now, we're heading over to the Control Center to catch you up on the weekend professional wrestling news.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
My first news story this week is Thunder Rosa went onto her social media accounts and announced that Mission Pro Wrestling is going on a hiatus after their last event coming up here August 17th. It's Midsummer Breakout, if I remember right. It's interesting to see this women's professional wrestling company that's one of the most decorated in that field come to a hiatus. I wonder what's behind it. There's not much from Thunder Rosa's post up for they're thinking about reorganizing and coming back at a future date. There's no dates after August 17th. We just want to wish them all the best because anytime a company goes on hiatus, a lot of people get out of work, and we don't want to see that with any of our professional wrestlers.
Very true, especially something like Mission Pro, where a lot of strong female talents have come through.
Exactly. I mean, we had a plethora of them on like AEW Dark and Elevation when they were doing that for AEW. It was like their pipeline for women talent into AEW.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a pipeline for everybody with some of the talents they've had. It'll be a blow for sure. I hope everything is good and that they can come back, at the future date that they're at least planning on right now.
True. My second news story for you this week is Scott D'Amore has announced his next project, and he's bringing back Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. And I got to say, who he has lined up for his first show is going to be dang freaking good. We already have Jinder Mahal, the former Jinder Mahal from WWE. We also have Josh Alexander. So it seems like he's going to tap into some of that TNA talent to bring into the new Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I might have seen that Kushida was going to be a part of the show as well.
Yes, Kushida as well. And I think Kushida's wrestling probably the former Jinder Mahal. I think that's what they announced in that.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. I mean, like we were just talking about one promotion closing. I mean, at the very least, we're getting another one opening. We kind of saw this this rumor a few months back when Scott D'Amore got fired. So it's very cool that he's going to kind of revive this, and obviously more promotions. Like you said, the more people are working.
Okay, so I misspoke. There's not a match set yet, but they have a 2-night taping. It's going to be October 19th and 20th at St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And the event is called Maple Leaf Pro Forge in Excellence, and announced so far to appear, like I said, the former Jinder Mahal, Josh Alexander, Kushida, Trevor Lee. I mean, they are going to have a stacked roster, it looks like.
Yeah, those are some good names to bring in, especially for your opening show.
Exactly. It's going to be crazy. So we can't wait to see how that plays out. We'll keep our eyes on that for you guys. My third news story came out this week as Mustafa Ali went to his social medias to lay a letter of resignation in a way. If you've been watching Mustafa Ali, he's been in TNA wrestling for a while. He lost the exhibition title to Speedball Mike Bailey, but the latest event that happened was him versus Nick Nav for the TNA World title, and he came up just a little bit short. It looks like Mustafa Ali is heading back to the independents for a while. Maybe he's playing the thing where you go away from TNA for a while to build yourself back up, and the fans get wanting you to be back in that position. I don't think the door is closed for him in TNA, and I feel like TNA was the one good stop in his campaign so far, but his campaign on the independent scene is a must-watch.
Yeah, and I don't think the door is closed either, nor should they think it is, because Mustafa Ali is too good of a talent to be like, oh, we don't need to work with you anymore. Like you said, he was killing it on this tour pre this TNA run, and he's going to continue to kill it. He's going to be all over and having some of the best matches on the card.
I can't wait to see where he pops up next. He's been really picky about where he shows up, and every time he shows up, he nails it out of the park.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, like you said, like what his next matchup is going to be.
Okay, so sad news here, as 2 WWE's Raw stars were written off TV this past week on Monday Night Raw, as Dakota Kai and Seth Rollins were both written off of the show due to injuries. We just want to wish them both a speedy recovery.
These are like big blows, like for WWE's both divisions, honestly. I'm hoping Dakota Kai especially is okay, because she's suffered through quite a lot of injuries.
Yes, very true. I feel really sad for Dakota Kai because I feel like she cannot get a break. Every time she gets ready to have that good run, something always comes up. It's like, I feel like she broke a mirror walking underneath a ladder or something. I just want to see her have some good luck, and we just want to wish them both a speedy recovery. Now, while from what I read, Seth Rollins is probably more clear to wrestle than Dakota Kai, so we could probably just see Seth Rollins after Bastion of Berlin, maybe more at Bad Blood once we get into more September and October timeline.
Well, that's good. That's good. At least they won't have to lose him for like an extended period of time.
Very true. Now, my next news story for you, we're going over to AEW as an interesting story came out on Wednesday as with the Warner Brothers Discovery announced that they're going to rebrand True TV as TNT Sports. And I got a feeling if they're going to make it TNT Sports, it might be the future home for everything AEW wrestling.
Yeah, that seems like a definite possibility. It's kind of strange to lose your biggest sports franchise, though, and then create a channel called TNT Sports. Just my opinion. But they have AEW, they have hockey. Somebody mentioned they have some college football games as well throughout the college football season and racing. So they will have some stuff at least to start it off.
And they have already announced a new Saturday show after Collision that's going to involve a lot of AEW talent watching different kind of videos that are adrenaline videos, and they are going to talk about things they've done in the past and stuff. It's like TNT Overdrive, and I'm like, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think this is a weird experiment here.
Okay, so as we said at the top of the show, we're going to close out the news segment with sad news as Kevin Sullivan did pass away Friday at the age of 74. Once again, we just want to wish the Sullivan family our deepest condolences and to his friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely. Friends, family, coworkers, anybody who knew him and enjoyed his career and were friends with him, anything like that. Like you said, all condolences.
And that has been our Control Center here for August the 10th, 2024 on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We are heading to our stunning 6 questions of the week.
Time to ring the bell. As Shawn and Ashlee debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys. And what the hell was that?
And Ashlee, my very first stunning question for you. Something that we learned on the pre-show to SummerSlam as WWE announced Joe Tessitore will be the new lead announcer for Monday Night Raw. So my question to you is the color person for Joe Tessitore as Michael Cole is going to SmackDown.
So I was thinking about it, but I read an article today as well on it, and it said that this is until January. I guess that there will be a switch again in January, obviously when they go to their new home on Netflix and everything and get settled. So maybe they use this time as kind of a trial period to kind of maybe run him with a couple of people to see who he works well with. I'm not sure exactly who they're going to start him off the bat, pairing him off with, though.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind to me is Corey Graves. You move Corey Graves over to Monday Night Raw. He's your most experienced color person. I mean,
see, that's what I had written down.
I mean, okay, you can literally do that, or you can send Wade Barrett over to Raw too. I mean,
I would like that.
It's like 1A, 1B. To me personally, my first reason for Corey Graves is he's your most experienced person. You want this to go well for Joe Tessitore. I feel like it's going to be well. He's more like Morrow. If you haven't done any listening to Joe Tessitore, he is a very good sports announcer. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near what we had with Admin Burt. I thought they gave Admin Burt a very hard job. It was a middle pandemic, and I didn't think they did him any favors by putting him on Monday Night Raw for 3 hours with no crowd, and it was a freaking pandemic.
Very true. It was definitely a sink or swim kind of thing, and that was the toughest of circumstances to try to get through that.
So I'm looking forward to see how Joe Tessitore takes his previous boxing announcing and his football announcing and molds it into professional wrestling announcing. From the small interview that him and Michael Cole did, he did mention that he is a fan of professional wrestling. So I'm hoping we're going to go down more the moral line with a more sports-based commentating here for Monday Night Raw. I can't wait. We're going to get to know the Monday Night Raw after Bastion Berlin as his first episode.
Going to be a good reason for, maybe bring in some other people who are fans of his work from anywhere else too.
Very true. So my second Sunday question for you came up this week. as it came out that Britt Baker was suspended for at least a week due to some backstage altercation that happened at AEW Dynamite 250. It apparently went between her and MJF's girlfriend, and it got back to MJF, and he went down to talk to Britt Baker, and apparently it got a little heated. So, Ashlee, my question for you is, should they both be suspended? Have we not learned anything from Brawl In and Brawl Out?
I don't know. This is a very weird thing. I will say, like, I think Britt has a point in why she was upset, but the way she went about it was absolutely not correct. And I think that is why she ended up on the suspended end of things. But if MJF kind of went at her and punched a wall, like, maybe he needs to take a chill too. You know, you need a timeout as well.
It's just unfortunately because it's your two biggest stars of your two divisions. It's basically the guy you're building the promotion around in MJF, and literally the pillar of the women's division.
Yeah, and like I said, like Britt had a point. Like the rumor, the word is through all the reports, it was that she was upset about Will Ospreay and MJF getting an hour for their match. With limited TV time, I could see why other talents would be upset about two talents getting an hour of TV time, despite how much we as fans enjoyed it. Or, you know, I don't like that she said those things to Alicia, who I'm sure defended her boyfriend's honor, but I don't like, you know, that kind of cattiness and stuff going on. And she's got to control herself in that aspect because that's kind of uncalled for. And I think that's the reason she was in trouble.
Now, the way I read the story was AEW did have a disciplinary committee look into this, and they ruled that that's Britt Baker getting suspended and MJF did get suspended. So I just want this to be like the end of this. I want AEW to be able to go forward with minimal backstage drama. I mean, granted, any workplace you're going to have drama. We all work somewhere. We have events where two people disagree on something that happened. I just wish they could kibosh it faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like I said, Britt couldn't be upset and you know, feel how she feels about the match or the time that they get or whatever, but there's no reason to say the things she did the way that she did.
Very true. I feel like I can understand her being mad because that hour of TV dedicated to MJF versus Will Ospreay. If that was the big beef, why not go to Tony Khan and go like, hey, I have a problem here. This is my problem. You gave this match an hour. Where's the time for the women? Where's, you know, it's a fair point. You go to your boss and say like, hey, I have this issue. Don't go complain. I'm like, fine, you can talk to your friends, but don't do it in the locker room where you know his girlfriend is an employee of the company and she's going to overhear it. And of course she's going to defend her boyfriend and go to MJF and go like, hey, this is what was said. And to put MJF,
and that's going to put everybody in an awkward position because it feels like the women's locker room is going to feel like whatever they're saying is being overheard and told to other people, and I feel like it could turn into a bigger mess. So I'm hoping, like you said, they put the kibosh on this very quick.
Yeah, because it also makes MJF in a hard position because if your girlfriend comes to you and says all this stuff and you don't go and at least say, hey, what's up? It kind of puts MJF in the spot with his girlfriend going like, you didn't defend her. And you're like, it's just this big freaking pile of drama that the company does not need while they're working on their latest contract.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're moving on to my third Sunday question. And we're going back to Monday at Raw because we saw the debut of Judgment Day 3.0 as clearly the leader is Finn Balor. And it's the lineup of Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Carlito, Dirty Dom, and Liv Morgan. So, Ashlee, I know I beated a drum for a new name for this group, but here we are. Are you cool with Judgment Day 3.0?
Well, I do still wish they had gone with a different name. I understand the reasoning for doing this, especially when Liv's whole thing has been about taking every single thing away from Rhea, and now she has.
Very true, but like we were saying before with Solo and his crew, this new Judgment Day 3.0, when they face Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, they kind of look like puppies again.
Very true.
But I gotta say, I love Finn Balor's reasoning for him turning on Damian Priest, and the fact that he had a picture. He told the story how he waited a full year to get back at Damian Priest and said, like, you need to man up, because that was the conversation that Damian had with Finn after Finn lost the chance for the title. So I kind of love how they built this around Finn, just like seething for like a year, just waiting for the perfect time to strike.
Talk about the long con.
We're moving on to my fourth stunning question this week, and we're going over to Friday Night SmackDown. And this is the one I was worried about the most. And I gotta say, after watching Friday Night SmackDown, we do have directions for Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and right now, Cody is heading to a matchup with Kevin Owens at Bachelor of Berlin, babyface versus babyface. A reluctant Kevin Owens accepted this match after a little bit of talking from Nick Aldis. So how do you feel about Cody's first night with the Bloodline back in action? How do we keep him from being a side character in the Bloodline storyline?
I wrote for this answer. I wrote, good question. I feel like it's going to be very tough, especially with the way Roman Reigns has been received upon his return. Cody's automatically, I think, bumped down the totem pole a little bit.
Yeah, Cody's clearly 1B babyface right now. And he's your world champion. Your world champion is 1B babyface. And the crowd kind of chanted for Cody to come down to save Roman, but I'm kind of thinking about myself, why would Cody come down to save Roman?
Right, they don't seem to still be friends. It just sort of was like my enemy and your enemy. We're sort of begrudgingly on the same side of things, but I don't see them like. I guess they could, with Roman being a babyface, turn them into something, but I don't see them turning them into like some sort of tag team or teaming up unless they do kind of like a big attraction match with that, which probably wouldn't be the worst idea.
Well, we still got to build up Solo, because you were talking about this Monday night as we're doing our preview show for Monday Night Raw, where you were going like, they got to move Solo up to the level of Roman Reigns. And what they did tonight did not make the mission accomplished, because Solo bailed on his crew, and he's like looking at Roman holding the lay and going like, this is what you want, come and get it. And Roman's like laying the chairs into the guys, and I'm like, Solo, go save your crew. Like, if you want to get at Roman, he's in the ring.
Yeah, I still feel like he's a little bit on this, he's kind of struggling a little bit, but not terribly. He's good in the ring. I feel like I need more like charisma, I guess the word I'm looking for. I don't know if that's really the word I'm looking for, but watching him kind of just stare stoically while that happens, I don't think is really getting anything across.
Honestly, how I would have done this to get Solo a little bit more to Roman's level is we still have one member of that family that hasn't debuted yet. I would literally debut that guy last night on SmackDown. I would have had the Bloodline 2.0 lay Roman out. I know they wanted to have that good spot where the fans got to cheer Roman on his comeback from SummerSlam. I would literally had the Bloodline beat him down in the middle of the ring and the fans chanting for Cody as we go off the air.
Yeah, I think you got to do something a little bit on the bigger side to get the fans accepting them as a threat to Roman Reigns, because right now I don't think they're at that level yet.
We'll have a wait and see as we head towards Bash in Berlin. We'll look at next week's Friday Night SmackDown to see how the Bloodline storyline goes ahead. And my next stunning question for you, stunning question number 4. How shocked were you on Wednesday night when Wes Lee turned on MSK? Because after watching that match with Asium and Nathan Fraser versus MSK, I had the feeling that the guys from TNA were going to turn on Wes Lee. I was wrong. They got me. It was Wes Lee turning heel.
It was crazy, but I like there's like good justification behind it, and it should be very interesting to see him do a heel run.
Yeah, I got a feeling that he's going to be a serious heel here, and he had the justification of his partner unfortunately getting let go by WWE, and he basically screamed at him like, "You left me by myself." And like he took out all his frustration over the last year and a half that MSK wasn't a thing. And I was like, wow, I never thought Wes Lee would be a good heel, but he got me on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was a very good start to this.
It's make me looking forward to next week's NXT show. I got to tell you that right now.
Yeah, I hope he kind of gets singles matches with each of them.
Oh, that would be so good. Oh, hey, we're doing this TNA NXT crossover. Have one on each. You can do one on Tuesday night NXT. Have Wesley show on Impact and beat him down again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on to my sixth and final stunning question this week. As we're getting close to the 5th year anniversary of AEW Dynamite, Ashlee, my question for you. In the 5-year history of the show, who's one person that AEW has dropped the ball on?
So let's see. I feel like there's a few answers we could go with here. I have a couple of names written down, but I feel like they're kind of the names that get thrown around a lot. Ricky Starks has got to be at the top of the list. We haven't even seen him in months. Can't even for no reason. I feel like Ethan Page was a good example of somebody that AEW had for a long time and did absolutely nothing with, and we've seen what he's capable of in the elevation he's had in NXT. And another one I really do believe is partly AEW's fault, it's partly MJF's fault, and it's partly a little bit his own fault, but Wardlow, a young, great-looking talent, his initial push got derailed by another wrestler, which was not okay. And everything since then has been kind of a failure of booking him and then not booking him at all, booking him in the wrong roles, and just not understanding how to use him.
You know, you made 3 excellent picks, and I feel bad that I didn't think about Ricky Starks as one of my first picks, but my first pick was Miro. I'm like, dude.
Yeah. Oh,
Miro.
man.
I mean, his war with God, being the reclaimer. I'm like, he was doing so freaking well. This guy was just a badass. And how can you not have room for this guy on your TV show? I'm like, this would be one of my top heels in AEW if I was Tony Khan. My second choice was Keith Lee. Now, granted, with Keith Lee, it may be a lot of health issues that are behind the scenes that we don't know about. And I just want Keith Lee to be healthy and be able to do things outside of professional wrestling. But over the course of his run in AEW, I feel like he and Miro were my 2 picks for who they dropped the ball with.
I genuinely feel like Keith Lee is like the biggest mystery in pro wrestling right now. Like, he's gone for huge chunks of time, and there's nothing but speculation as to why.
You know, I get a feeling that he's a real private person, and hey, I'm okay with that. I just want to wish him all the best.
Yeah, I hope he's healthy and doing well.
But him and Miro would be my choice. And with you saying Ricky Starks, Wardlow, and Ethan Page, we could be here for another 20 minutes talking about how the heck they mess up Ethan freaking Page and Scorpio Sky. I mean, like, men of the year. I mean, like, dude.
Right. I loved the theme song alone.
It's crazy they didn't get a title run with the theme song by itself. And we didn't even mention the Lucha Brothers, who apparently are heading towards WWE.
Yeah, no, that's a big loss for AEW, especially because their tag team division is not doing well right now.
Okay, so outside of FTR, Young Bucks, who is the next top level tag team in that company right now?
I'd be hard pressed to answer because the start and stop pushes with people are not helping anybody. You can't keep pushing Private Party and then go, you know what, we're not going to do anything with you for like 2 months. So you can go sit down now. Or Top Flight, Top Flight should be on TV every week. And for some reason, they're not.
I know. There's so many ways we can go with this. We'll just have to wait to see what year number 5 of a Dynamite has in store for us. This has been your stunning questions here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. It's time for our most favorite segment of the week. And we have brought it back from a long hiatus. It's our top 5 matches of the week.
It's Shawn and Ashlee's top 5 matches of the week. As they count down their 5 favourite matches from the past week, did your favourite match make the cut?
Okay, Ashley, you literally messaged me when I told you we were going to do top 5 matches of the week that we haven't done this in a forever long time. So I do apologize, but we're back with this segment. Do you want to go first or second?
Good, you can go first.
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot. So let me go to my number 5 match of the week. And my number 5 match of the week, Ashley, you're going to be surprised. I put AOP versus the New Day as my number 5 match of the week. Literally, we were joking about this as being my feud of the year, as in like my worst feud of the year. Literally, did I not know 24 hours later, they had Ozzy Jones come down to save the New Day. And I feel like we're going to get Xavier Woods as a single heel coming out of this interaction with Ozzy Jones and the New Day. And I'm all excited to see a more pissed off, kind of vengeful Xavier Woods looking at Kofi Kingston and go like, dude, why didn't you let me in on this? I didn't know you guys were cool.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be nice to see a more like focused and kind of a more of an edge to Xavier Woods.
You know, I love to see Xavier Woods go back to what the New Day first debuted to give it as, like a more serious heel wrestler who was so sick and tired of the stereotypical gimmicks that would always have for African American professional wrestlers. I feel like if he goes back to that kind of Xavier Woods, it would be a very interesting play.
Be nice to see them do something with the New Day instead of kind of just having them be in the background. Kind of, it feels like since Big E's injury.
You know, you're right, because it felt like they've been in a holding pattern ever since Big E went out with his injury. And yeah, they would have a title run here and there, but it was not anything remarkable.
It'd be nice to have a good change of pace for them. Like you said, this should be very cool. We got some very cool like breakups and surprise like heel turns coming.
Exactly. We'll have more about this on Monday night as we do our preview show for Monday Night Raw. Ashlee, what is your number 5 match of the week?
All right, number 5. I put kind of surprising pick for me as well, I thought. From the G1 Climax this week, Shota Umino taking on Jake Lee. Jake Lee is kind of new to me. I've only seen him throughout this tournament throughout the G1. I haven't been overly impressed, but I thought this was by far my favorite match he's had on the G1. I will say a little disappointed with the outcome, but I think Shota absolutely had a great showing despite having a fractured hip coming into the G1.
My freaking word. Imagine wrestling a G1 with a fractured freaking hip. That should give him more bonus points than coming out of the G1 freaking tournament. And like you've said, with Jake Lee, I feel like the people behind New Japan Pro Wrestling are looking at him as their big, giant monster. They want to get him over. They literally had him beat Sonata in like under 5 minutes. And I was like, I was up that morning looking at it going like, that was your former world champion Sonata, and you're giving this victory to Jake Lee. I mean, like, if you're going to do something with Jake Lee, that's perfectly fine. And it's a good way to get him introduced to your fan base. But he has had a up and down G1 tournament.
Very true. Kind of divisive from what I've seen. Some people like him. Some people tend to think he's not too great. I've been a little on the fence about him, but like I said, I think this was his best showing. And Shota Umino is just a very good like underdog baby face, but New Japan needs to give him some big wins.
Honestly, I feel like they need to strap the rocket to him and make that your, like, I know you can't replace Okada, okay? Nobody will ever replace Okada in Japan Pro Wrestling, but it could be your top level babyface for years.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time. They have the tools there. They just have to decide on who they're going to make the top guy.
Exactly. They need to pick one or two and just go to town on elevating them. So my number 4 match of the week, I'm keeping it on a Raw theme. I'm going with the Wyatt 6 debut against American Made. Now, granted, I don't know how I feel about American Made because as soon as I saw that, a lot of people were making jokes online about American Male, the WCW theme song, and I got stuck in my head. But this match was a fine debut.
And now it's going to be stuck in mine.
You know how we were afraid that the Wyatts may not translate to in-ring? I feel like we got the question answered partly on Monday night. I don't know if we can give them the clear bill of health, but this was a strong start, and that crowd ate up the interest. And I love the fact they still use Bray Wyatt's entrance theme.
Well, there's no doubt to the talent that's in the group, so hopefully they can kind of continue on this path and keeping it balanced with, like you said, like having these cool visuals, these cool vignettes, these cool promos and things that they do, and kind of merging it with that talent, because like there's some good wrestlers in this group, so there's no reason that this should not work.
Exactly. I was happy that they had a good showing. We'll just have to keep our eyes on it, but we'll have more about this on Monday night when we do our preview for this coming Monday night's Raw. Ashlee, what was your number 4 match of the week?
All right, number 4. This is a very G1 climax list, so be prepared. Bolin Oleg, Jeff Cobb. I feel like I don't need to say anything else. This is 2 big guys who are freakishly athletic as well, beating the hell out of each other. Bolin Oleg's stock has gone through the roof, I think, in this G1, and Jeff Cobb putting on a surprising performance and in leading, I think, B Block right now with, I think, 10 points.
You know, it's going to be interesting because I got a sneaky feeling that I know you're pulling for Zack Sabre Jr. to win this year's G1 tournament. I get a feeling that maybe it'd be Jeff Cobb.
With the performance he's putting on, he's certainly going to the the finals here.
But I gotta say, Oleg had a dang good showing so far, and from his first match in the G1 tournament, he's been somebody who I want to keep my eye on, and he's becoming one of my favorites in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Same here. He's been fantastic. You can see the progression in each match. I love the addition, like I said earlier, of finally having his own gear and stuff like that. He looks great. They push him to the moon.
Okay, so my number 3 match of the week, I'm going into NXT, and it was their Great American Bash week number 2, and it was Trick Williams versus Pete freaking Dunne. And I just love the fact that we're back to heel Pete Dunne, and he's just out there joint mutilating people to death. And I gotta say, I want to see this feud continue between Trick Williams and Pete Dunne because they can put on some good matches.
Yeah. Pete Dunne getting a prominent place is very good.
You know, it was interesting because they broke up the Brawling Brutes. They got Sheamus on Monday Night Raw. They got the other member with the Chase University. So Pete Dunne was out here just floating. We didn't know what they were going to do with him, and he's been transporting between Raw and NXT, and I feel like he may be one of the top heels in NXT, and I'm all for it.
I think he's a very good choice for that.
Okay, Ashlee, what is your number 3 match of the week?
All right, G1 again, but this one I think if you haven't seen this one, definitely go out of your way to check this one out. Konosuke Takeshita and El Phantasmo sort of picking up right where they left off at Forbidden Door during the ladder match for the TNT Championship. Brutal. It's back and forth, a lot of outside tables and stuff like that. But Konosuke Takeshita, I think New Japan is certainly interested in keeping him around after these performances. We know how good he is. We see him in AEW all the time, but a lot of New Japan fans are being introduced to him for the first time, and he is certainly doing well. So,
Ashlee, I feel like he is better off in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I feel like they want to do something with him. And like we were saying earlier in the show about people they dropped the ball on, babyface Katasha was someone they dropped the ball on.
Very true, especially because he's with this Don Callis family that doesn't really seem to have any sort of direction right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's a great reason for him to be in this G1 tournament because the G1 and New Japan Pro Wrestling, they want to do something with him. And like we were saying with Shota Umino, top level babyface, future top level heel for years to come, Katasha.
Yeah, and he can do either side of it because we've seen him be a babyface, and him playing more into the heel tendencies during this G1 he looks great. His match with Hiroki Goto was fantastic, and he definitely was the more of the heel in that match.
We'll have to wait and see what they do with Katasha here back in AEW, or maybe his contract is hopefully near towards the end with AEW, and maybe New Japan Pro Wrestling will throw some money at him and let him stay in Japan. Personally, I would want him to stay in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I wouldn't mind it, especially because to get rematches with Hanare and Jeff Cobb, I'd be in, especially because this week he's taking on Bolin Oleg, and I'm ready for that one.
I am too. I'm going to have to circle that one and make sure I watch that match. Now, My number 2 match of the week, I'm going back to NXT. I kind of have a Raw and NXT theme here going on. And this one is Joe Henry versus Joe Coffey in the Battle of the Joes. Now, granted, for you longtime wrestling fans, you know that Joe Henry and Joe Coffey was once into the same faction, the Prestige and What Culture Pro Wrestling. Yes, David, I just brought up What Culture Pro Wrestling, so go ahead and scream at me. But this match was just perfectly great for Joe Henry to get over in the NXT crowd. And I love the fact that Joe Henry tricked the referee in tossing out the other 2 members of Gallus by holding the chair for a second, yelling at the ref and tossing it at Wolfgang. And Wolfgang just catches it and go like, we didn't do anything. And the referee throws him out.
Joe Hendry continues to impress, get himself over. I think he is somebody that NXT and WWE are certainly wanting to keep around and keep far after his contract is up with TNA.
I got a feeling that eventually we're going to see Joe Henry make the full transition over to WWE. And I can't freaking wait because this guy is this money waiting to happen. So, Ashlee, what is your number 2 match of the week?
All right, number 2 from Dynamite this week. MJF and Kyle Fletcher opening the show, a bold choice again after the past few weeks, I guess. But a much shorter match this time around, so hopefully nobody will have an issue with it. But Kyle Fletcher, man, what a showing. He's had some really good standout singles showings against like Lee Johnson in Ring of Honor. And this was a really good one. MJF always has, I think, really good singles matches, but I'm very excited to see Kyle Fletcher maybe break out a little bit here.
You know, what this has shown me is that Kyle Fletcher is another babyface inside of a heel faction of the Don Callis family. And they need to separate him and Will Ospreay from the family, and they need to be on their own. My second thought is, who in the world put all those rolling carts in front of Will Ospreay's door? And I know it's not MJF. Who did he pay off to do that?
Good question. Especially because it felt like it took Ospreay like way too long to get down to the ring after as well.
It kind of did, because he did get out there for a while, and I felt like the beatdown lasted a little bit too long, maybe. I'm going like, if I was Kyle, I'd be going back to the backstage after Will, going like, dude, can you not do that just a bit faster?
Right. At least he didn't do the Jeff Hardy move, though, of doing the juke dance and stuff before saving someone.
True. Sorry, Kyle. I got to pose to the crowd for a second. Then I'll be down to help you out. Yeah, just give me a second.
He does the whole spray thing.
That would be funny, I gotta say. But we're going
It'd be hilarious.
It would be hilarious. I'm going to my number 1 match of the week. I already kind of hinted about it in the 76 questions. I'm going back to NXT, and it is Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus MSK. And they got me with the ending of this match, because after the babyface wins here, I got a feeling that it was going to be the 2 guys from TNA jumping Wesley, and we're going to have the storyline of him going after them to get revenge. Oh, no. They got me. It's Wesley being frustrated that they didn't win titles, and he turns on Buffalo.
Like I said, I'm very excited to see where he goes in a singles heel capacity, because I feel like this is like uncharted territory almost.
Like I said, it made me very interested about this next week's NXT show. And in the back of my mind, when I first saw it, I was stopped and thought, why are they making Wesley heel? It's kind of like Roxanne Perez being a heel. At the beginning, I wasn't sure about it, but she won me over. And inside of this heel turn on last week's NXT, Wesley won me over. I feel like I want to see what he has to say on NXT Tuesday night.
Yeah, and I'm also interested to see the response from the other 2.
Very true. So, Ashlee, what is your first number 1 match of the week?
See, this is what this is what happens when we don't pick matches for a long time. I cheat. So I'll talk about the first one. I'll talk about Zack Sabre Jr. and Gabe Kidd from the G1.
Okay, go ahead. Tell us why this was one of the best matches of the G1 tournament.
Because both of these guys are fantastic. And Gabe Kidd is another one who's kind of showing out with this G1 tournament. I still think it should come home, though, and Zack Sabre Jr. should win. But I love this match because you have Zack Sabre Jr., who's like very technical, and you have Gabe Kidd, who is just a force of nature. It is Gabe Kidd kind of chopping away at Zack Sabre Jr., turning his chest bruised red. He's very heavy-handed. Obviously, he's taking out Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. finally pinpoints like a precise moment. He capitalizes on it. He starts getting some offense in with Gabe Kidd. It leads to him kind of picking like a perfect moment and locking in a chokehold. Which leads to one of my favorite endings I've had in a while. It is Zack Sabre Jr. choking him out, Gabe Kidd fading away, throws the bird to the crowd everywhere on both sides, and Zack Sabre Jr. wrapping his legs around his arms and body to clench in the chokehold even more, and eventually him passing out. So Gabe Kidd not tapping out, not submitting, but getting choked out because Zack Sabre Jr., the best technical wrestler in the world.
I love the ending of this match. I love the fact that Gabe Kidd's not going quietly into the night. No, you New Japan Pro Wrestling fans. He's going to show you that he's still number one, even though he's literally getting choked to death here as Zack Sabre Jr. is locking in the choke. He's like, I'm going to go out with my shield and show you how I really feel about you guys. So bravo to Gabe Kidd.
Yeah, a very good matchup for him, but I think now mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, as they were calling.
Very unfortunate for Gabe Kidd, who I personally thought was going to have a great run in this G1 tournament. But we'll see what
certainly showed out.
Sure. Now, Ashley, what is your other number one match of the week?
So from Dynamite, the main event, Jeff Jarrett versus Bryan Danielson. This match had everything: chair shots, concession stands, trash cans, Busaiku knees with chairs.
Who ever thought that you would want a Jeff Jarrett versus Bryan Danielson match until you saw it? And I was like, thank you for making this match. I'm like, I never thought in a million years you would see Jeff Jarrett versus the American Dragon, but it was a hell of a match.
And you had Ricky Dragon on commentary. Like, what more could I ask for?
I know. I mean, like, the only thing that would have made this better if it was a triple threat, but you know, that would be just asking for too much.
Yeah, it was very cool to see him in the ring though afterward and raising both of their hands and everything.
I love the fact that Jeff Jarrett came out as the heel and we got to get charge shot like within 30 seconds. I'm not going to let the best techno wrestler in the world walk down in the ring, get ready for me. No, I'm going to come from the back with a weapon and knock him out.
That's why Jeff Jarrett is one of the smartest men in wrestling, and I've only come to realize it in our Lord's year of 2024.
Okay, so as much as I want to see Nigel versus the American Dragon, I kind of want to see Jeff Jarrett versus the Dragon one more time.
Honestly, yeah, I would take it. I like a lot of the stuff coming out of this too, because we had some like backstage shenanigans post this match with Jeff Jarrett doing an interview, bumping into Hangman. Now we set up for next week. We're getting Jay Lethal versus Hangman coming out of this. I feel like a lot of this is intertwined, and I like it.
I do too, and I'm looking forward to see Jay Lethal versus Hangman Adam Page this Wednesday night on Dynamite. Get your popcorn ready. That should be a dang good match. And that has been our top 5 matches of the week. Ashley, where can we find you on the Super Information Super Highway?
I'm usually on Twitter. It's at groovy_ash_, and available there are the links to all my other socials.
You can always follow the show on Twitter at Radio Free PW. You can also visit RadioFreePW.com to catch up on the latest episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. And if you haven't gone to their YouTube channel yet, go to YouTube, Radio Free Professional Wrestling, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And we have already launched the rebrand of our Monday show where we preview Monday Night Raw. We want to thank you to those who watched that live with us. That was fun. We're going to do that again this coming up Monday. And I got to say, I'm looking forward to see what the future is for Radio Free Professional Wrestling as we head towards our start of our 5th season in September. I can't believe we're almost here for season freaking 5.
Well, I'm on my year 2 journey.
You know, they always said the second year is the best year, so we'll see how this goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we see you next time, Monday night for our Raw Countdown show, enjoy your weekend, enjoy professional wrestling, stay stunning.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show? Do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunningly.